Hello, beautiful people. So, I have an old camera and I recorded about like 3 weeks worth of video content that apparently did not film correctly. And so, in order to meet my weekly post schedule, weekly publishing schedule, you know what I'm trying to say, I've decided to just go outside, put on makeup, throw on a wig, and just create the video that I wanted to create from the get go. So it's a little bit informal, the background is different. I'm literally in my backyard, just going straight at it. So, note to self, save to buy a new camera, and two, always double check the video. I don't know why I didn't double check this time. I think I was just like in a rush and I was just trying to get things out. Relearning as a content creator and as a content marketer to be very intentional, be very thorough. And of course, as soon as I started videoing, noise all over the world is just going haywire. So let me not digress. Hopefully this little mic picks everything up. Well, picks me up the most. So let's have a go. Hey everyone. So today I'm going to talk about career advice or career tips that I wish I knew when I just started. And it doesn't matter if you are like 3, 4, 5 years into your career. These are tips that I think are timeless, that anyone could use, that I wish somebody who had just given me this in a book form and it would have really helped me along the way. So here are some of the career tips that I wish I knew, that I'm using right now, that I'm relearning right now, because apparently this is a big season of relearning lessons that I've learned before. Your girl can be stubborn and hard-headed sometimes, but God always reminds her. So number one is choosing between freelancing, being a consultant, and working full-time. I used to think that you had to be one of those things. And throughout my career as a a digital content marketer, I realized that I could be all three of those things all at once, or two of those things, or just one. It all depends on the season. It all depends on who you are and how you like to do things. If you're a freelancer, it means you like to work on your own terms. If you're a contractor, it means that instead of like smaller projects that freelancers would probably get, or like a little bit more flexibility, you're kind of tied down to a brand for an extended period of time. Or you might want a one-off project. The difference between a freelancer and a consultant is that a freelancer is the person who does the work, and a consultant can consult and choose to do the work. So they can simply just tell you how to do the thing, but they don't have to do the thing for you. Whereas a freelancer simply does the thing for you. And sometimes the two overlap and cross between each other. Then there is a full-time person, of course, somebody who works like a full-time job. They work with a company full-time. That's great for me when I started out, because as soon as I finished studying engineering and I switched my career path to marketing, I was like, I didn't want to go back to school. So I was like, what are some of the practical things that I can do so I can learn about my industry and kind of like get skin in the game? And so I started to freelance. And when I was like, I felt like I was ready, I started to consult and freelance. And then when I got a really nice portfolio and I was applying for jobs, I realized, okay, let me be full-time. And while I was full-time, I was also freelancing and vice versa and consulting, and I switched between the two. And there are times where I just fully freelance, and there are times where I was consulting and freelancing and working full-time. And now at this point in my life, I'm working full-time alone, because I kind of want to just take a break, and just there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. Our generation is ready to like put behind hustle culture, right? So deciding when you want to be a freelancer, a consultant, or a contractor, you don't have to just be one, but it's all based on what you want to do, your capacity, and what you want out of whatever you decide to do in your industry. And your industry too, that also kind of negates that as well. Next is create a work journal. This is something I learned literally last year, and somebody on TikTok recommended, of course, one of the pros of TikToks, and is create a work journal. Now your work journal, it can be done like something that you fill in weekly, monthly, or daily. I personally have a daily work journal so that I write down all the tasks that I do. And it could be the big task, but it has to be something that's like very substantial. Either it aligns with your roles and responsibilities, or it's something that's outside of your roles and responsibilities. But making that work journal is a key, because if you work for a company, one, at the your annual review, or if you want a raise, or if there's a promotion there, you've already kind of made notes of all the things that you've done throughout your time there, right? The things that you've gone above and beyond, the things that you didn't have to do but you did anyway because it would be beneficial overall. You can bring those up instead of like having to like, oh my god, what did I do for the past 6 months or a year? Boom, you have it right there. It's also, I think, for me, especially when it comes to like mental health, it reminds you of how much you're doing, and that you should be kind of kind to yourself. You should rest, you should like do your thing. And so it's also like, oh, I didn't feel like I did enough today. But if you look through your work journal, like if you do it daily or weekly, you realize there was a lot of things on my plate this week and I handled it, right? And even if you didn't handle it, it's like you had a lot of stuff on your plate this week. So definitely keep a work journal. I have my notes here. And then third one, not the third one, but the next one is create a 2, 5, and 10-year career plan. Creating this is not really like to be your end all be all, but it's just a guideline to see like, where do I really want to see myself? Do I want to be doing this for the next 10 years, 5 years, 2 years? And then if you do, what are some of the positions that I want, or what are some of the brands or the projects that I want to work on that are really going to shape my career or shape me as a professional? And so it helps to keep you kind of like on a guided path, and it makes sure that you're not just doing projects, or you're not just joining roles to join roles, but it's intentional and it's working up to something. Like I knew I wanted to be a content marketing manager, but before I got to that, I was doing like social media, and then I moved to digital marketing, and then I moved from digital marketing and I found a role in content writing. So I started as a content writer, and I did that position for a while, and it also taught me a lot of other things in the spaces. And then I moved to a content marketing manager, and now my next step is head of content, by the grace of God, head of content. And so having that 2-year, 3-year, 5-year plan puts like, where do I want to be? Where do I want to go? And again, it's not written in stone. It's like a GPS. Maybe I want to change the path. Maybe I want to go somewhere. Maybe I'm okay with the position that I'm at because there are other projects I want to do. But having something written down on paper, not just on your phone or on your laptop, makes a huge difference. Having it there physically written and placed somewhere where you can see it, or somewhere you can like grab and look, it helps a lot more. Okay, next is find a good mentor. Finding a good mentor is so helpful. And there are different shapes and sizes of mentors. Like I always say this to some people, like there are some people in your life for a season, a reason, and a lifetime. And there are mentors who are in your life for the very same thing. There's some mentors that you have at your workplace who are there for a season, and some people who are there for a specific reason. Whether they're a good mentor or a bad mentor, they're still teaching you a lesson that you can learn to improve. And trust me, I've had some bad mentors, or people who are unintentional mentors. And then there are some mentors who are for a lifetime. In a sense, they're there for your professional career all the way through. And when it comes to finding a good mentor, obviously, one, you got to find someone who has a position, or who is in the industry that you admire, and you want your professional life to reflect that, or you want to tap into that network that they have so that you can learn from them and have access to other people to learn from them and work with them. And it's a two-way street, right? It's not just what can they do for me, it's also what can you do for them. And I always believe every single person has something to give, has a value. I need to take my own advice. But every single person has like, I don't know where to look, so I'm looking like both ways. Every single person has like something to give, something to offer. It could be doing projects for free. It could be giving advice. And advice in the sense that sometimes you think like, oh, this person knows every single thing. But the smartest people in the room always know when they're the smartest people in the room. And they also know if somebody else is smarter than them at something, they're willing to listen and to ask for help. And sometimes that could be you, right? And having that connection, finding out like, what can I give this person, what can I offer to benefit them, and letting them know that you're not going to waste their time, especially if this person is like very popular in your industry or in your country or in your niche, they're used to probably people coming up to them and saying, hey, I want you to be my mentor, and then they disappear or they fall through. So you have to be accountable, you have to be disciplined, and you have to be ready to implement the advice that they give you so that they know that you're not wasting their time. And vice versa, you have to know that if you are being respectful to this mentor and they're falling through on dates, pushing you to the side, they're not really giving you the full mentorship, you got to speak up, right? There was a point where I had my mentor and we were like, we don't speak often enough. And he's like, you're right. I don't follow up with you enough to do this, and we're going to change that. And I was like, okay, this is a two-way street. Let's both make sure we have a conversation once a month. Even if there's nothing that specific that I want to ask you, or a problem that I need help with, just talking with you, updating you on what's going on, that's a part of the rapport. And remember, a mentorship is also like a relationship. It should be a positive one, not a toxic one. And you both should be benefiting in a way and get to the point where both you and your mentor are kind of like helping each other a little bit through different things, because that's what it is. Likewise, as I said before, mentors come in like different shapes and sizes, sometimes, but not all the time. Our friends can be mentors. They can give us advice and help us see things that we never saw before. And sometimes people in our industry or fellow employees or people who are in the same position or level as us can give us advice and mentor us to certain things. Likewise, if you haven't found somebody who's like in a higher position or who's had the like years of experience that you want, start creating a group of people that are doing the same thing as you and kind of, or who have the same mindset as you, right? The same focused mindset and desires, and let mentor each other through it. It doesn't always have to be one single person, and you don't always have to have one mentor throughout your life. And just like relationships, you can change mentors. If you realize that you've outgrown a certain mentor, that's okay too. Whoa, this should have been its own video. So the next one is create a portfolio. It doesn't matter what industry or niche you're in, having a portfolio of all of your work is really good. If you're not able to have like a physical or digital portfolio, having references is the next best thing. And this could be somebody who is a past client, somebody you've worked with in the office, a fellow coworker, anyone who's enjoyed working with you could be your reference. But having those in the back of your pocket so that whether you're applying for a new job or a promotion is coming up, or you're a freelancer or a consultant and the client is like, who's worked with you? Who liked working with you? What have you done for other people? You can just like call this person, talk to this person. But otherwise, have a digital portfolio. And a digital portfolio can be just your website, introducing who you do, the type of work that you've done. You could turn your resume into a small little website, and websites are affordable right now, so anyone create it. Obviously, you can use Wix, Squarespace, or Shopify, depending on who you are. But definitely have a digital portfolio. The next best thing to a digital portfolio is having a very active LinkedIn profile, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later. Next up, create your own website or social media presence. Actually, wow. Yeah, I'm going to talk more about that now. So next up is make sure that you have your own website. We are in the age of digital presence, digital fingerprint. It's important to have a digital presence no matter how small or big you are, because it speaks volume to your professionalism, right? Gone are the days where you would just have like just your resume or what you've done. Sometimes people will choose someone who is like more savvy, socially connected than someone who has like a really like powerful resume, because the network speaks for itself, or the presence speaks for itself. They put into action to get themselves there. So work on your LinkedIn, work on your Instagram or your Pinterest or your YouTube or whatever it is. For me, like I said in my original video on why I'm creating a YouTube channel, is because I want to create a digital presence for my personal self, right? I've already kind of done that for my professional self. I'm ready for my personal version of me to do that. Don't skimp on it. I know it will take some work, but do it. You will be surprised at how much connections, mentors, events, beneficial things to your profession when you choose the right social platforms to show your work and to like let people know who you are and what you do. Okay, your network is everything. That's the next thing on the list. Your network is everything, and it's very true. If you're one of those people who are like, oh, I like to work alone, I like to do everything alone, that's fine. I'm not saying that you need to be friends with everyone. I'm saying you need to network with people. You need to have people that you can, if a project comes up, you know who to reach, who to ask to find out who can do this, or you know the person directly. And to network, again, because of everything that we've been through the, Rona, now it's like the perfect time to go to like physical events. You can also, virtual events are great if you're just watching to learn, but in order to network, virtual events aren't as effective as like a physical event. Or if you do join a virtual event, finding the speakers and the people who are the event coordinators and connecting with them on LinkedIn would probably be the next way. And as I said, LinkedIn, finding people to connect with. I personally made sure that I am active on LinkedIn to the best of my abilities, and I made sure that I have like over 500 connections, meaningful connections. So people who are in marketing, people who are content marketers like myself, people who are in adjacent positions that obviously I would work with in any marketing field, CMOs, CEOs, startup, podcasters, anyone that I know in my line of work. I can feel confident saying like, hey, how do you do this? Or hey, I have this project, do you want to be on it? That's the power of like networking and having people there. And back when I was in Jamaica, for me, I always made sure I had like a group of like photographers, creative directors, designers, models, other marketers, salespeople, location scouts, like, videographers, whatever it was, to make sure that, because at the time I worked in a marketing agency and I was also freelancing for clients, I could ask these people who I've worked with and then grown to trust that this was my network. And it helps so much in the sense that it also shows other people that you're established in what you do and you know the right people, because when you start to network and those people overlap with other people that you want to work with, that's when you know you've gotten to a really good place. So get to that place. 2, read books in your niche. Whatever your niche is, like even if it's a content creator, even if it's a cupcake maker, or marketing or sales or customer service, whatever it is, there's a book out there. And if not a book, a podcast. And if not a podcast, an audiobook. And if not an audiobook, TikTok videos. The whole point is to consume information that's to keep yourself relevant and to make sure that you're constantly learning as you go along. Because sometimes we get to this point where we stop reading. We're like, I already know everything already. It is what it is. And that puts us in like a plateau. Plateau. You get what I mean. And you don't want that, right? Again, these are career tips, timeless tips. So wherever you are, no matter how old you are, whether you're young or whether you've been in this game for like a long time, you never stop learning. Next one is learn about work languages. And I had this conversation with my mentor where I was having trouble like connecting with someone or trying to understand someone to get them to help me with a certain project. And my mentor was like, the reason this person is not working well with you is because you're not speaking their work language. And I was like, their work language? He's like, yeah, like how love languages are a thing? You have work languages. There's a certain way people want to be approached or to want to be, want you to act towards them that's going to help to bring out their best selves. And I was like, that makes sense. And so learning what their work language is, and I found out in the discussion with my mentor that this person really loved to be praised. Like they love when you point out all the good things and then kind of say like, you did really great here, but I noticed you didn't do this and that's not like you, And I want us to maintain the same level because you've been going, and me having that conversation, positioning it and talking in his work language, which is words of affirmation. He was then able to help with the project at the best of his ability, and I was able to work with him much smoother. And so that reduced friction and that helped us to have a better work relationship. So learning people's work languages, if you're interested in what work languages are, definitely let me know and I'll make a video about it. You learn from doing. Next one is you learn from doing, not from theory. Theory is great. Theory helps you to learn, helps you to know all the terminologies, all of the things that you need to know to put things in. I don't know if you heard that. It helps you to like learn different languages. It helps you to like put things in place. But unless you start doing it, or unless you have a project that's going to help you to put it into practicality, you'll never really learn it. And like in my line of work, you can tell the difference between somebody who understands the trends and the theories of marketing and content, but has never really put it into work, as opposed to somebody who understands the theories, understand the trends and the strategies, and they've put it into work. They've seen where some things failed, some things works, what doesn't, XYZ, and they know how to navigate around it. So don't be one of those people who are just all about theory. Even scientists have to try and prove theories. The same goes for you. Like if you're a baker, put that recipe into theory, okay? If you're a designer, if you're a content creator, put it into work and you'll see how to really do it, how to really know it. To do is to know. I don't know who said that, but that's the quote that came to mind. Next is, it's okay to make mistakes, but avoid the blame game. Whew. I don't use the word hate very often, but I hate when people blame other people. Play the blame game. I work for a company where they played that game like every day, like Monopoly. Different video, different time. Anyway, it's okay to make mistakes. I used to get so wind up, so riled up, like that I didn't want to make mistakes. And I ended up calling it like being a perfectionist. When one, it caused me to be more anxious. Two, it caused me to procrastinate more because I was always worried about making a mistake and being perfect and trying to get everything done right from the get-go. And three, it takes the fun out of a lot of things. It really does. And now I'm not saying in your job or your profession to go out there and break everything. Depending on what your profession is, that might just work. But for everybody else, it's okay to make mistakes because you'll begin to learn and grow from it. And that's the only way you're going to get things right. Nobody gets everything right 100% of the time. We're not God. We're not Jesus. We are human beings. We make mistakes. So just make the mistakes. And I found that if you're in a really good company where you make a mistake and you own that mistake and you show how you're going to grow from that mistake, the real OGs, they're going to be like, okay. And they're going to keep you on. They're gonna show like, okay, you've definitely learned from this. It happens all the time. Let's not make this again, XYZ. And sometimes some people will, you might end up losing your job, but you learn from that mistake and you realize, I'm never gonna make that mistake again. But sometimes those mistakes also help us to open doors, find new ways, find out if we actually love the job that we love, find out if we're in the right place, the right organization, the right group, with the right client. So if a mistake happens, it's okay. As long as you learn from it, you grow from it, and you use it to help you to be a better person, then it's fine. It's when you don't, when the mistake is really bad. And again, don't shift the blame. If you made a mistake, take ownership of it. And I will tell you, there are a lot of CEOs, business owners, startups, that when you take ownership of your mistakes, like a real G, and you show them how you're gonna like improve, the respect from that, chef kiss. Okay. Next is collaborate more than you compete. Like I said, networking is key, but knowing people and collaborating with them are two. Is that like a seagull? That's a seagull. Like I said, knowing people and collaborating with them are two different things. You gotta work with people to know if you want to network with them further, what their work ethic is like. I've met a lot of people who are very popular online, very popular in certain spaces in their niche, but they are not the best people to work with. They're not professional. And I've met some people who it was like, is this person really good to work with? And they were phenomenal. They were professional. They were the type of person where like, anybody asks me if they need XYZ, I'm gonna let them know to call you, right? So collaborate more. You also make a little bit more money when you collaborate. You also find new things that inspire you when you collaborate, and you learn, a little bit of mentorship from each other when you collaborate. So definitely do that. Next on my list is avoid burnout, rest, and recharge. This is something that I learned 2.5 years ago. Just to 3 years. Wow, that's long. And I learned, like anyone else, the hard way. Especially when you start your career or you start something new, people are just like, you gotta be like 100% of the time, you gotta work 12 hours a day. Depending on what your job is, some people have to do that. Some people will use being busy as opposed to being productive. And that's one of the ways that you can get burnt out real quick, is if you don't know the difference between being busy and being productive. Because when you're busy, there are always tasks coming up. But when you're productive, you have the specific task that you need to focus on. And that's also like a double-edged sword to say boundaries within work, like having boundaries within work, which is one of the next topics. And so I'll go back into like burnout. Take the time to rest and recharge. Not taking your holidays is not a flex. Working on the weekends when you should be chilling is not a flex. And I tell this to all of my friends whenever they're working too hard, whether they have clients or they work for a company. If you die, they're gonna send an email about how sad they are to the company, and then they're gonna hire somebody else. You are here for a reason, a season, and a couple of other things. Don't let dedicating so much to a project or to your organization take so much from you that you realize that you're not spending time with the people that you love, and you're not spending time to recharge yourself. So you know how people like self-care take it very seriously, right? There's a reason that God, he worked 6 days and said 1 day is for rest, right? Even God rest. You also need to rest, all right? So take the time, rest, relax, breathe. And sometimes it could be coming off of social media, just binge watching a series, taking a walk, hanging out with friends, or just doing nothing. There's sometimes I just do nothing. But whatever it is, take time to rest. One of my rules is 1 day out of the week, which is, going to church or having my session with God, and just like no work. Sometimes like I don't even use my laptop for like casual purposes. I just do it on my phone so that my laptop's just closed until Monday morning. And 90% of the times I'm successful. The other 10% of the time I end up breaking that rule, but then I try and find some day within the week to kind of regroup that time to myself, because it always comes back. So rest, recharge, whatever you do to rest, whatever you do to recharge, do it. Do not let being overworked allow you to lose your health, lose the people you love, and lose your passion for the profession that you're in or your hobbies. That's another one. Okay. Next is setting boundaries. Learning to set work boundaries is very important. If you can, right? You're like, especially as somebody who works remotely, my work hours are from 8 a.m. to 5, 8 to 5, right? Because of course I take lunch, 8 to 5. And yes, that's also a boundary. Taking your lunch is a boundary. Whether it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour, I don't care. Take your lunch, take your break. That is a boundary. And nobody talk to you about work. Nobody bother you about work. And the next one, if you go on vacation, and I say this to my friends, when you are on vacation, you are dead to your work. You're dead to your office. RIP, you're gone. You don't exist. As far as they know, you were never here. It's not until you come back from vacation is it, oh yeah, you are an employee here. Oh yeah, you are that. Okay? Set the boundaries, because when you allow your work or your boss or your team to push you and nudge you into things, then they know like this is a boundary I can cross because you've never said it or you've never reinforced it. And you'll always be that person. I try my best. I want to be the last person anybody calls at work when I'm on vacation, or anybody messages from work when it's my day off or it's the weekend. Unless it's like a high level project, and those projects happen sometimes where you have to, like, again, work on the weekends sometimes, but it should be occasions. If you find you're working for a company that doesn't respect when you're on vacation, when you're offline, and when you are sick, that's not a company for you. And trust me, there are plenty of other companies there. I've even had where I work now where I was on vacation and this really important meeting came up, and I was like, hey, it's vacation, but this meeting, he's like, you're on vacation. You don't exist until you come back. And I was like, okay, I'll just read the email follow up, and that's it. Set your boundaries, keep your boundaries. And if you are somebody who struggles with boundaries, I'm gonna link someone who is a licensed therapist who has a book on boundaries with both yourself, with the people you love, and anything else you need. And trust me, that's gonna help you to handle things a lot better and less burnout too. Lastly, take time to just learn, observe, and just be present. You know, life goes by so fast. Life goes by so fast. You know, a year goes by so fast. It could be in the blink of an eye, you were just starting and now you have your own business. Now you have your own agency. It could be the blink of an eye, you started as a chef. Now you're an accountant and you're really happy, or vice versa. But just be present, because things change. You know, look back, appreciate it as you go along. And yeah, that's what I'm kind of trying to do over here, taking my own advice. So this was the unedited, because I'm not going to edit this. Like I said, my camera just decided not to record the first 3 video attempts of this. So this is raw and unfiltered, unedited, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. If you have any tips that you wish you knew when you started your career, in your career, or that you learned recently on TikTok that you've used, comment below, let your girl know, and yeah, share that goodness. And I'll see you guys next week.